What up, guys? Welcome to the Sound Centric Podcast. I'm Samuel Sarfo.
I'm Adam Dash.
And thank you guys for tuning in as usual. Of course, the big news in the music industry right now is Drake, the one and only, who dropped his 8th studio album, For All the Dogs, just recently on October 6th. Really huge album because, of course, hip-hop has been quote-unquote on a decline, at least in my opinion. And Drake is obviously one of the big three, and for him to drop is huge, right? It's big news.
Yeah.
But we're going to get straight into it with Drake and his album, For All the Dogs. Adam, I know you have some real hot takes for it, but for me, First, let me just say some good thing about Drake is that he's really consistent, right? He's probably the most consistent rapper out of those top echelon group. And he always has some hits, right? He always has one of those bangers that really sums up the year. But for this project, at least, I didn't have a single song really that I could honestly take away from. And no hate to Drake. I just think this album personally wasn't for me.
I know Drake has been listening to some content creators that are small. I saw he posted LC on his Instagram story. So Drake, if you stumble upon our video, welcome. We love you, Aubrey, my Jewish brother. But so I'll say that Drake is no longer a hip hop star. And this has been known, he is a pop star. So this is on me for going into this album expecting different. And I saw a tweet about this. Drake releases albums for playlist consumption. You are supposed to go through the album once or twice, pick out the songs you like, add them to your playlist, because this felt like homework. Getting through this album like 6 times, it felt like I was pushing. And it's interesting because when I'm listening to it, I'm comparing it to J. Cole and Kendrick, the other top two. And it's an interesting thing because we say we want Drake to have more mature content, but he's never talked about the subjects that Cole and Kendrick do talk about. And if he did, it probably wouldn't even come out sounding good. So it feels even weird to compare them because the content is just so different that, I mean, he's in a completely different lane. He is a pop star, and I come to Drake albums wanting hits. And I will say, this is not an awful album. This is not like some trash off. I've heard way worse. That being said, this is Drizzy Drake. This was his worst album he's made. It just happens. That's what it is. So I'm going to try to go through this quickly before I get to other points.
Mm-hmm.
A quick summary of each song and how I felt about it. Virginia Beach. You start an album with where Pharrell and Pusha T are from, and you just sang, and that was just a weird intro to call it Virginia Beach. We all were expecting something to be said. And it just didn't really sound like an intro song, but sounds like a good, deep album cut. Amen. Tizo Touchdown is doing his Ty Dolla $ign impression. Shout out to Tizo. I like this song. Piano sounds cool. Good song. Calling for You. I don't know why would he put this 2-minute girl speech in the middle? I'm not sure if you know this. I think so Pusha T tweeted about like his Delta first class was like the flight was booked wrong and he tweeted about it. So apparently they think this was like in response to that because the girl's talking about like flying first class and stuff. Ruins the song. And then just 21 Savage is thrown in at the end for no reason whatsoever. And a common problem on this project and in hip hop in general right now is too many beat changes. And if you're doing all these beat changes with featured rappers, it turns into feeling like you guys weren't in the studio together and 21 Savage just had this verse and this beat. And they're like, all right, let's throw them together. So that one's not it. Fear of Heights, bleh, Daylight. Drake.
Catchy chorus, you're singing it.
Yeah. Shot him in Daylight. Why? I'm going to go more into depth about this point later because I know you wanted to talk about it too. Drake rides trends. He doesn't create trends. It's just the reality of the situation. And for some reason, he's decided to do a Playboi Carti Yeet impersonation on a bunch of these songs. And some of these songs are fine, but the fact that there's like 4 the same song on this album make them worse. So I don't need to hear Drake on why? Shot him in Daylight. Who did you shoot? Do you shoot? Is that so? That's whatever. First person shooter. Thank God. We got it, boys. It happened. We got the J. Cole feature. And it's amazing. And the Drake part is good in the beginning. But what was the point of this beat switch? It just, in my opinion, like makes me want to turn off the song. And Drake is just naming people, which he always does. He's like, Jazleen, Marlene, New Orleans, like, you know what I'm talking about? Pack 'em all in like some sardines. Like, dude, I it Drake, I mean, Cole washed him. Like, how did he come in with that verse? It was so bad.
Mhm,
But fire first part of the song. So happy.
mhm,
I Don't Give a Blank featuring Yeet. You see how this started with a jazz? It was getting big jazzy vibes. It kinda sounded
mhm.
like something like, on the Travis album. What's the song with Westside Gunn? It kinda gave that, like,
Uh,
um
I forget the
y
song. I know what you're talking
you know what I'm
about.
talking about. It had a
Mhm,
really it's like jazz, there's a trumpet playing, like, "Oh my god,
mhm,
is Drake getting in this lane?" It's a Yeat song.
mhm,
We're not Yeat fans, so this might be the best song on the album to that demographic of people. I
mhm,
am so happy for you guys. Uh, this is not a song that I'm gonna be personally playing. It's whatever. Seven
mhm.
7969 Santa, mid, Slime You Out.
Man, you're really killing
Really,
Drake right now, brother.
yeah. Wait, there's some good things. Slime You Out, good song. It didn't feel like a single, and this is exactly how I felt about it. It sounds
Mhm,
like a really good deep album cut from a Drake album. Good song. Applause to you guys. Uh, next up, Bahamas Promises actually sounds like what could have been the intro to the album, the way it starts with the dogs barking. Also, it would have been really cool. Snoop Dogg should have just narrated this whole album.
mhm,
That would have been a really cool idea. Uh, but that song's fine. Tried Our Best is probably one of the more catchy songs that people will be playing on this album. Cringy lines in it, but that's Drake. It's a good song.
mhm,
Screw the World interlude, dope. Really cool beat. I actually wish he rapped on this. It was really cool.
mhm,
Drew Picasso, fine. Members Only did not stick out whatsoever. What Would Pluto Do was the best song on the album that I didn't hear before the album came out. That's what I came here for.
mhm,
Just a catchy Drake hit. What would Pluto do? So I did it. That is in the whole okay flow. That's a great song. All the Parties featuring Chief Keef. Chief Keef could have had a way longer part in the song. It could have made it better. Uh, 8 a.m. in Charlotte. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor. Oh, it's amazing. Really good song. He has the occasional corny line, but you know what? He sticks to the same rhyme scheme,
mhm,
and he always has something pretty funny to say with something. The whole Lauryn Hill, Jordan Peele, like he was going on with that for a while.
mhm.
Another great song to add to the timestamp collection. And I just tweeted about this. The transition into BBL or BBL Love interlude. It sounded like some Westside Gun stuff. You go from a conductor beat into a soul sample, and then Drake writes a song comparing love
Mhm.
to a BBL. And sir, you are 36 years old. And what I it sounds like a really good beat, and I want to like this song, but bust that for a real one. Like I'm never listening to that ever again. Uh,
Mhm,
Gently, it's just like
mhm,
he just made a Bad Bunny song, which is the same problem that Travis did, which is interesting that Bad Bunny debatably the biggest artist on the planet, and this is not his fault at all because he did his thing and his right. Just like two bad hits that were supposed to be like huge
mhm,
crossover beat hits, and it's a fine song, whatever. Rich Baby Daddy,
mhm.
actually fine, but it did not need the sexy red verse at the end. It could have ended after the SZA verse. Fine song. Another late night featuring Lil Yachty is the same thing as Daylight
Mhm.
and I don't IDGAF. Like it's just the same type of Playboy Cardi. What? What? Like, come on, do different
Mhm.
ad libs.
Yep.
Also, Drake is in love with this new whisper flow that he started
Mhm.
doing on that Travis song, where he's scared of the six. I don't know
Mhm.
what he's doing. I don't like that flow. And it
Yep.
finishes up with Away From Home, which was a good song. Polar Opposites, good song.
Mhm.
So, like, problem in this project, a lot of long songs, a lot of redundant topics. That was a long rant that didn't even fully encapsulate how I felt about the album. Wasn't the worst
Mhm.
album, but a lot of these songs just the fact that there's so many of the same type of songs, it ruins the best versions of that song.
No, I'm happy you got that out. For me, I can't even go individually
That
by
was a
these
long
tracks
one.
because personally, this album, like I said, wasn't for me. Just looking at the time length, an hour and 25 minutes and 23 tracks. It's just not needed, and I understand it, right?
Bro,
Drake right now is in a
long.
place where he can create projects, where they don't have to be cohesive. The fans can listen and they can be able to pick what songs they like most of it. But that's what I'm kind of upset
Yeah,
at Drake because this is something that he's been complacent with. Although he's created a space where he's able to do this, that has also impacted how his albums are received. And when you can't make a cohesive album, people in general aren't gonna like your albums as much. I remember, when 8 AM in Charlotte came out, Adam sent it to me and he was geeking out. I even remember seeing Mike Quill, a rapper from the UK, saying, "Oh, Drake's about to drop a classic just because this single." And guys, Drake is a businessman. He knows what he's
Yeah,
doing. You're gonna listen to 8 AM in Charlotte, and it's gonna be nothing like that on the album. And when I heard the album,
no, he's
that's what
doing.
it was. Listen, I'm not gonna say anything bad because
Yeah,
Drake is somebody who I look up to. I've known Drake. I've known Aubrey since he was Jimmy from Degrassi, right? Or my friend was living with me. We'd be watching Degrassi all the time, and I'll be seeing Drake and watching his
yes, sir.
career develop from like 2008 all the way
I
till
love
now has been
Degrassi.
amazing. But I can say really loudly that the last album that I truly liked by Drake was Scorpion, because even though that album wasn't cohesive, the amount of hits on that album, it was, I mean, there was hits on hits on hits that complete ruled the whole entire year. But when I look at this project, I just don't like the sound, the
Yeah,
trap sounds, his flows. I mean, his rapping is I don't get this lack, like this lazy type of flow he's using. He's trying to imitate other rappers like Yee or Playboy Cardi. The features were kind of just underwhelming, except for the inclusion
yeah,
of Tizo. I was really excited to see Tizo. He's getting a lot of praise and shout outs and just hype
really
from
good.
his fellow
Shout out
peers.
to
And to
him.
see him on this album was really great too. And like you were saying before, Drake, and this is what Adam said. So before you try to roast me, this is the words of Adam, which I do agree with though. But Drake is someone who doesn't create trends. He rides trends, right? If he hears Afro beats, he's gonna hop on that. If he hears house, he hops on that, right? If it's trap, 21 Savage type music, he hops on
Make more
that.
life.
He hops on
Yeah,
that, but sometimes it just doesn't go well. And when you keep doing this whispering flow, this voice, the beat switches, like first person shooter, incredible. Then you do this beat switch. That's the same exact beat switch on Jimmy Crooks. And it gets underwhelming and it wasn't needed. And then you'd say Michael Jackson beat it. Like, quit it, man.
yeah,
You don't have a thrill in your discog. But that's just all I have to say about this album, man. It really wasn't
yeah,
for me. Truly, this album. The reason I was looking down so much was because I don't have it to my
yeah,
library. It's not even in my library. I had to look it up on Apple Music. And again, I love Drake. Drake is one of the greatest rappers of all time. There's no slight to him. But personally, this
yeah,
album, it wasn't his best. And he said he was going to take a year off, not a year off. He said he's going to take some time off for his mental health. And, that's good for him. Take care of your mental
yeah,
health. But take some
yeah,
time, man, because when you drop every year like that, you're not going to have a lot of things to
yeah,
talk about. And another thing, too, you were talking about how Drake usually doesn't have content like K Dot or J. Cole.
yeah,
True. Drake doesn't usually talk about social issues, but he still had content that was
yeah,
vulnerable. If you listen to Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, even thinking like it was vulnerable content that like, oh wow, I feel something. Now
100%.
everything is just surface level, and it's like I can't relate to this,
Yeah,
man. And Joe Budden was saying the same thing, and Drake is trying to go at Joe Budden. I feel like that's just not it. It's just a
yeah.
critique. Maybe you should let it go. And I don't know. What do you have to say?
It sounds like the album was
Mm,
made while he was on tour, which is, like, fine. I mean, make a fun album if you want. Uh,
mm,
his it's just weird that his music
mm,
has gotten less mature because, yes, doesn't rap about, like, political issues or anything like
mhm,
that, but he used to be very talkative about his family and
mm,
about his past, and once again, I don't need an album of Drake talking about being a dad for a whole album,
mm.
but, like, dude, you have a son now, like, I don't know, make some type of song, like, I don't need a whole For Your Eyes Only's, She's Mine Part 1, Part 2, and I get it. His formula works and he sells a lot. My point would
Mhm,
be, don't you have enough money? Like, do you really care about sales? Like, you're Drake. We saw Jack Harlow, who is
mm,
still trying to, like, solidify a spot, make an album that was just hip hop rapping on beats, which I get it, he's just not
mhm,
gonna do that, but, like, Jack Harlow's still trying to solidify himself. You are solidified. You can do it any type of music you want, and it will probably be good. He's really good at making music. So, it's you hear a song like 8 AM in
mhm,
Charlotte, and you're aware he loves hip hop. He was a fan of Clips growing up. He loves Joe Budden, and he goes on the Radar freestyle. He knows what's up. So, he has the
yeah.
ability to do it, and he just chooses not to do it. He has the writing ability to make the best bars, and it's just I don't get why he chooses not to do it and tries to please every single person. It's honestly, I take back anything I said about Honestly Nevermind. That's cool that he made an album that was, for the most part, one sound besides Jimmy Cook's at the end. But, like, cool, you tried out a different lane, I can respect that. But when you're trying to make music for every single person, you're just biting off more than you can chew.
He was hopping on trends that were at least popping or had some, viability. But when you're hopping on this type of trap vibe which is still niche, and I still don't think it's projecting anytime soon. It kind of gets old. Like I hear this project and I'm like, what's the difference between this CLB and Her Loss? It sounds like a combination of all those albums into one for this project, right?
It does, but this album gave me a lot more respect
Mhm,
for CLB and for Her Loss. First of all, I always liked Her Loss.
mhm,
I think it's actually just like a it's an album that was made
mhm,
to be bumped. Like it's a lot of good songs for the gym or
yep,
pre-gaming or stuff to get you hype. Very much enjoy Her Loss. Certified Lover Boy, you
like
go through it. Some of Drake's best songs ever are on Certified Lover Boy. There are some really good tracks on it,
okay,
like
fair,
Pipe
fair.
Down,
Top tier Drake intro.
Champagne Poetry. What an amazing way to start an album. I'm gonna go through it right now. In the Bible, I actually
Mhm,
love that song. Big fan of it. TSU is a great song. Uh, s-
mhm,
You Only Live Twice, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross. That's actually a really cool beat. It's like basically I'm saying that that's I go to Drake. I want to find the songs I love, and sadly, this album I came away
mhm,
with currently 3 songs I really like. I really like 8
mhm,
AM. I really like the J. Cole one besides the beat switch, and I really like What Would Pluto Do?
right?
Was not it.
Because I keep saying it over and over. Call me a pessimist, but like I say, hip hop has been really slow in 2023. And when your biggest artist can't necessarily deliver, how does that look for the genre?
I mean, I saw someone say this, and it was like an interesting take that if Drake is gonna experiment in these genres, like put on some like small artist. Like that's always cool. Like J. Cole put on Moray, like his hometown kid, put him on a song where he's singing like a gospel type chorus.
Mhm,
That was sick. So I think that was awesome that he put Conductor on the album. He's posted Macami's album, Pray for Haiti, before on his Instagram story. He's praised Griselda. Like that's sick. I've never seen the Twitter timeline so excited for one person.
yeah,
Like it felt like we all made it seeing that Conductor made it on this album. So like that was sick of Drake to do. And I think it's like, dude, look at the reaction. You're some of these diehard fans. I get it. You don't have to make music just for us boom bap heads who want bars and we want Westside Gun type beats.
I'm also
What a
happy to see
song.
Tizo, who even gave Sexy Red a look out on the previous CLB. He gave Lil Durk his huge hit when he dropped what's the song, Baby. Da 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 da. That literally put a spark in Lil Durk's career.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, like
cry,
stuff like that he's always been
laugh
doing.
now, cry later.
But that
Yeah.
was to the next
And
level. Even Dirk admitted himself, right?
Lil
And
Durk was
that's what
double
they'll
XL in
always
like
thank Drake
2014.
for,
He's been
right?
around. But yes.
Adam, you know the drill. What's your playlist title and leading single? Unless you got more to
Yeah.
say about Drake. Unless you want
If
to
you know
talk
your
about
playlist
the
title, do it
Westside
first
Gun.
because
But
I gotta look. I
for
think I had
me,
an idea of what I want.
mine is gonna be I kind of had an idea, but my playlist title is
About a
gonna
second.
be "This Is Why."
Oh, true.
The song's gonna be "Running Out of Time," which is one of my favorite songs from this year from Paramore's project. "This Is Why" was dropped this year in like mid February, and that project is one of the best projects so far this year, and it's gonna do really well when it comes to the awards. But something that Paramore did, which was really cool, was they dropped a remix album of their "This Is Why" project,
Yeah,
and essentially what they did was they were looking for their favorite artist or artist that inspired them, gave them some of their songs, and they completely remade the tracks in their own style, and they put it up in an album. And obviously, they are not the ones to create this, but you don't see it as
that's awesome.
often. And it was just something that was really cool and really dope. Haley, in one of her interviews, she said that we've long wanted to recognize the
Yeah,
connection we have with some of the artists who've influenced us and bands, and who also cited us as an influence. Read This Is Why is almost a remix album. Some of the songs have been remixed sort of classically, while others were reworked or rewritten. It's incredible to hear all our worlds colliding. And coming up with this type of marketing strategy, it's not even a marketing strategy, just it's just artistically cool. You don't see it as much. I just wanted to highlight Paramore, of course. I'm a huge Paramore fan, but that's really dope.
now that's
Mhm,
actually an awesome idea. It's similar kind of
mhm,
to like what Denzel Curry did,
yeah,
where he released his whole album with a jazz
yep,
version of it. I think that's sick. Like release a new
mhm,
chop and screwed version of your album. I don't know, doing something like that, especially getting people that you're inspired by.
mhm,
Shout out to them. I'm gonna choose a song I was listening to at the
mhm.
gym that I love, "Bash Money" by Westside Gunn featuring Lil Wayne, because that new Lil Wayne project that he released, I don't know if you listened to it, it was not good, and he yeah, that was that was not a good album that was not a good album, but he sounds so good on Westside Gunn and on Tyler, the Creator production, so someone has to get Tyler or Gunn on the phone, but Gunn is coming out with a new album, it might be next week. No, Westside Gunn. Maybe I said Gunna. Westside Gunn coming out with a new album,
Mhm,
the follow up to his
mhm.
debatably classic "Pray for Paris," and now you pray for me.
Okay,
I know it got JID on it. I
okay.
know it has Denzel Curry on it. I can't wait for the JID feature. I think it's the same song, honestly. I mean, working at Stove God Cooks is a very
Mhm.
acquired taste, and I have that taste because I love him, and I think he's probably gonna be featured on this thing like 10 times as he always is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably getting another Conway, Benny, Westside Gun track. I'm
Mhm.
excited because you might not love his rapping style or his voice, but man, can he pick the right beats and the right people on the song and make a long album that's actually pretty enjoyable.
Last this long and still so popular. It's incredible. So shout out to Westside Gunn. I'm excited for
So
this
popular.
project. You already know how huge of a fan I am for Pray for Paris.
Him Rock Marcy, I mean, man, they have
Mhm.
so much, uh, they've inspired so much to hip hop right now. And
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it's crazy that such underground
Yeah.
people are actually so well known. It's so sick to see.
Which albums have disappointed the most recently, or which artist has disappointed us the most between 2020 till now? I have my list stacked and ready. You have yours. Who wants to go first? We can go one each. So you share one, then I'll share
Yeah.
one.
So we kinda
Okay.
talked about this last episode. I'm gonna go with 2000 by Joey Badass. Is it's
Mhm.
honestly it's
Yep.
a very bold move. It was very good for fans. Like, "Whoa, 1999, this is the sequel to it."
Mhm.
Always a bold move,
Yep.
though, like, years later to come back and make a sequel of something. It's like
Yeah.
making Dumb and Dumber 3 in, like,
Mhm.
the 2000s, and people are like, "This is not compared to the first Dumb and Dumber or the Mask sequel." So it's hard. It wasn't an awful album,
Yeah.
but this kinda felt like, "Oh, Joey's going the wrong direction right now." So that's my first one.
You already did, especially when you're marketing in that direction. 1999 is literally a classic, and it's hard to top that and call it 2000, right? And I
Yeah.
think Joey at this point, he's kinda happy where he's at now. He's acting now, he's doing a bunch of different things, so, this whole pressure of him being the one, I think he's kind of shaking that off a little bit. Of course, we still hope that he can be the one, but I still enjoy 2000, but of course, for me, it wasn't, it didn't reach my expectations.
Yeah.
Mhm. For me, I'm gonna go Jack Harlow, "Come Home, the Kids Miss You," was dropped in early May of 2022, and I've been following Jack Harlow for a minute.
Okay, good one.
He's been doing a lot of different things, with his crew until he finally signed with
Big
was it
fan.
Now? Generation Now? And working with DJ Drama. I forget the name, but with DJ Drama. And I just feel like it was a lot of pressure for him to kind of please everybody, kind of make that pop type of music. But he came in super hard of Jackman in late April. And that's to me still one of the best rap albums of this year. What? Yeah, you heard me. Jack Harlow's
Yeah.
Jackman is still one of the best rap projects of 2023, and I mean that. That project is incredible. The fact that
Hey,
he didn't market it or anything shows how much he takes his craft serious, and
that's
that's what I want to hear more of from him.
That's how you bounce back from something that maybe commercially people didn't like. I will shout out though, the song Nail Tech was one of my favorite songs that year, and he released it as a single. Fire song. My next choice of disappointing.
Mhm,
So I going into college, I was not a huge
mhm,
trap fan. I didn't listen to much. But this might probably is
mhm.
my favorite trap album of all time is Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, Roddy Rich.
Yeah,
And that next Roddy Rich album, Live Life Fast, it gets a lot of hate. I'm not gonna say as much as
uh,
that, but one of
yep,
those people where you're like, "Oh, Roddy Ricch is gonna be a star because he has the box." He beat out
mhm,
Justin Bieber and whoever that other person was competing with them at the time, Selena Gomez, and
mhm.
he has Ballin' with DJ Mustard. What, like, amazing song, like, good vibes every time you listen to it. So I love Roddy's voice. I like him on Too Easy remix with Gunna, so this was just disappointing.
I still feel like he can come back, hopefully. I mean, he has the talent to make the hits and Feed the Streets mixtapes. Oh man, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Um, for me, this is gonna be a
I
left of
love his
field
voice.
one, but it's actually gonna be Ed Sheeran, right? And obviously, Ed Sheeran is like a huge artist. We know this, but he's been kind of dropping some albums that haven't been as favorable. He dropped Subtract this year,
Yeah,
early May 2023. And just to get some context, he got a 3.8 on Pitchfork. And this is Ed Sheeran, the guy who had like Shape of You, Thinking Out Loud, Photograph, Lego House, and all these big albums. He's been kind of struggling to kind of put a project together, but he dropped a second project just recently,
yeah,
called Autumn Variations, late September, and that project I actually liked. Some people still don't like it as much, but hopefully he can pick it up too. He's one of the artists I've enjoyed, and his hustle, his story of how we came
yeah.
up, really inspiring. Putting in your 1,000 hour, was it 5 to 3,000? What is it? 10,000? Sorry, way low. Come on, 10,000 hours.
Yeah. 10,000 hours,
10,000 hours.
10,000. I mean, he's so famous. He loves hip hop. So shout out to Ed Sheeran. Him and like he loves hip hop. All right, so this was kind of an easy
Mhm,
choice slash. It's not a
mhm,
bad album. It's disappointing because Kanye is so good. But down to two. Oh, I mean down to one. Down to two is the one that was on the stem player.
mhm,
Down to one. Boy, that's a
mhm.
there's great tracks on it, and I'm not saying it's the most disappointing album ever, but so it's kinda going back on my comments
Mhm,
from before, but Kanye recently has started riding trends versus setting trends. Kinda started with, The Life of Pablo, but you see him, like, getting on drill beats and things that just weren't for me. There are some really good tracks in that thing, but it is
mhm.
long.
Still think it kinda all the hype he was doing in the stadiums, all that was worth it to sit down and hear Donda, and to say that he has been hopping trends, I don't agree with that either. That gospel,
It was cool, yeah.
Yeezus type of sound is what inspired Travis to make Utopia. Like, that
Yes.
sound was his own sound. When you literally listen to Donda and you heard the production, it was insane.
I'm not saying The Life of Pablo is an
Mhm.
incredible album. I'm just saying that felt like the start
Yeah.
of him not pushing music forward, but, like, making
Uh-huh.
great versions of what's
Yeah.
already popular. Him making a Designer, making it trap music.
Uh-huh.
It's a great album, but
504, but that
this
was
album,
one
he's doing
track,
drill
right?
and he's bringing on, like, not Pop Smoke, but the other
Mhm.
drill rapper. 504. No, yeah, that's what just a lot of
Okay.
the songs, like
Fair
Junior,
enough.
like, they all sound like kind of
There
Playboi Carti songs, like,
mhm,
"Junior, I be on my re, re, re." You know what I mean? I'm not saying he
mhm.
made a bad like, I think Drake's version of this was a poorly executed. Kanye is so good, he executes it really well, but it was just disappointing for me. Not he's just the bar is so high for Ye that, like
They delivered on that one. For me, the last person I had was Lil Uzi Vert, right? He dropped Pink Tape late in June. And listen, how I figured out who Lil Yachty was is honestly
oh,
funny
yeah.
because I was back in high school and all my like white peers were the ones bumping Little Uzi. I didn't even know who Lil Uzi was, and they kinda rubbed that on me. I found Lil Uzi in his old
Yeah,
previous projects when he was dropping Lil Uzi Versus the World or the Perfect Love tape, and even Love Is Rage, Eternal Take. He always has hits, and when the Pink
yeah,
Tape came in, I guess it was kind of experimental, more like rock, emo heavy, but, it was just completely left field for me, and that was a bit disappointing because Lil Uzi is
yeah,
low-key a star, and we always talk about that
not for me.
double XL group, with Lil Yachty, 21
Yeah.
Savage, and all of them. All of that was the most hated double XL group at the time, they're the most successful right now, right?
Uzi, I mean, someone that I can't say I'm
Mhm,
so his hit songs are amazing. A song like Neon Guts is, like, one of my favorites ever, but I can't say I'm, like,
uh-huh.
so disappointed because I knew going into it, I'm like, This just doesn't feel like it's a for me." I'm not a big fan of this whole emo, rap rock type thing that's going on. I listened to that album once, never listened to it again.
And kudos to Drake. We're going to do Drake's
Yeah,
Time Stamp Series ranked. And he basically, what is it? 6 songs, right? Throughout his
from 6
career.
to
My
1.
number one spot is going to be 6 PM in New
Yeah,
York. I know that might be a shock to some people because 5 AM in Toronto is always the one track that everyone praises. And listen, that
not
track
a bad
is
choice.
incredible too. That was a track where Drake was really putting a hold in the game, where he was no longer this singer rapper. He was no for real the best rapper in the game. But 6 PM in New York was like a victory lap. When he dropped If You're Reading This Is Too Late,
Yeah,
that was
he was
3 for
angry.
3. And at that time, he was number one. And that's just one of my favorite tracks, one of my favorite albums from Drake. It probably is my favorite album if you're reading This Is Too Late. So shout out to 6 PM in New York.
I was
Mhm.
listening to, If You're Reading This Is Too Late yesterday. It's just so good. Alright, my number
M'kay.
1, drum roll please, 4 PM in
Uh,
Calabasas. What a beat. All you self-promoters are janky. We established like the Yankees. This whole I love the flow on it because a lot of these times where Drake's, like,
uh-huh.
rapping in his, like, serious bag, he kinda does, like, the same flow for a while, and it gets kinda boring. I love the beat on this. I love his raps. See Chris Jenner beep twice, not wave. Like, this I love this.
But then you hear
That's
his
all I
current
gotta say.
albums and it's like, why aren't you rapping to that level anymore? Like we said, it's not about ability, it's about choice. And that's what's kind of disappointing low key. Yeah. My second choice, I kind of already hinted at it already. Of course, it's 5
Yeah,
AM in Toronto. What a track. I just remember I'm not what did he say? I'm not Sinatra, but I'm just being frank with you, whatever he said.
yeah,
That always stands out to me. Load up a gun when it's shooting backwards. Exactly. So
yeah.
Drake, yeah,
It's 'cause I'm going to the
I'm
bank.
telling you, old Drake, you people
Yeah,
complain, stop begging for old Drake, but that old Drake just hits different.
you can skip to number 3 because 5 AM in Toronto is
Let's do
also
your
my number
third.
2,
Do my third?
if you wanna show
All right. My
it. There we
third
go.
is obviously gonna be 4 PM in Calabasas, of course.
Yeah,
The flow, the beat,
I assume it's 4
nobody
PM in
can hold
Calabasas.
me
There
down.
yeah.
That was Drake, yeah. Fourth is for me 9 PM in Dallas. I love this song. This is again old Drake when he was really coming up and proving his worth. And again, even though the beat, some might say it's outdated, that's the
Old
sound that I
Drake.
grew up with. That 2000s, late 2010s, no, late 2000s rap, so 2007 to 2010. That poppy type of beat, I love that. I'm sorry, that's my ear candy. For you, your
Yeah.
fourth place was.
Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have I
Mm,
this beat, I know some people who don't like loops are gonna be like, "It was so easy.
mhm,
It's just a choir singing." I think this beat is
yep,
so good. It is just it just sounds like cinematic in your ears. It's beautiful. The raps, I said this before, he
mhm.
sticks to that same rhyme scheme and has a lot of good lines, and then occasionally he throws in a bad one because he's running out of, like, rhymes. So he said, like,
Yep, I like that.
an "us" line with Jordan Peele, then he said, "I'm getting under your skin like an orange peel." Yeah, and, like, the Lauren, it was just
Yeah.
rhyme after
I
rhyme.
do feel like
Like,
that's
sometimes
recency bias, though. You'll be surprised where I put it, but my fifth place is going to be 7 a.m. on Bridal Path, which just has to be that track. He killed it for a recent Drake to be rapping like that was impressive. Even like you said, the intro track on CLB, an incredible track, and Drake spits one of his best verses on 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. For you, fifth place
yeah.
is
Do I have that
9 a.m. in
too? I
Dallas.
have
Okay.
Dallas, yeah. 9 AM in Dallas.
Mm,
So I'm gonna say so this kinda gives up to, like, what our number 6 spots are.
mm,
I 7 AM and Bridal Path, like, I just honestly have not listened to it that many times. So, that's, like, my bias against it. It just didn't
mm.
stick out to me. Same thing with 9 AM in Dallas. I honestly haven't heard it that many times.